Hello students, once again I am Professor N. Jadhav. Welcome you all into the class of chemistry. In our last lecture we are going to understand the mechanism of hydrogen evolution. After that we are going to start very important concept of our syllabus, and that concept is nothing but concentration cell corrosion. Concentration cell corrosion. We know that this type of corrosion we are going to observe when any metal is came in contact with acid or any solution, and this concentration cell corrosion we are going to observe in case of important type of corrosion. This type of corrosion is observed when only one part of metal is exposed to different air concentration. Means that any metal, when this metal we are going to expose, this metal will be exposed to different air concentration, then such a type of concentration cell corrosion we observe. And these concentration cell will be divided into three different types. First type is nothing but pitting corrosion. Second type is nothing but waterline corrosion. Waterline corrosion. And third important type is nothing but crevice corrosion. Crevice corrosion. These are the three different types of corrosion we observe in case of concentration cell corrosion. So let's understand all these types one by one. At first, the first type of concentration cell corrosion is pitting corrosion. So we are going to consider the concept of pitting corrosion. Now we know that the meaning of pit, P-I-T, pitting corrosion. To understand this pitting corrosion, we are going to just consider a simple diagram in this way. Here I am just going to draw a simple diagram, and that diagram will represent the pitting corrosion. Here some representation I am going to just draw here, and this is nothing but this is an dust or sand. Inside this, just consider a part of anode, and inside this a reaction will take place like Fe gives Fe2 plus 2 electrons. All or whole this part just present or represent in this manner. This is nothing but we are going to understand concept of pitting corrosion. This is a pit. I am just going to consider a pit, and by using this diagram we will well understand a part of pitting corrosion. So look this diagram. This pitting corrosion occurs in the presence of dust, sand, and other impurities. Means that the pitting corrosion will be observed when the dust, sand, or other impurities present on metal metal surface. Suppose that this one is a metal and this is an surface of that metal, and in that surface of metal we observe dust, sand and other impurities. If these impurities are present on that surface of that metal, then such a kind of corrosion will be observed. Due to presence of that dust, sand or other impurities, they are having different air or oxygen concentration. Means that in different concentration we observe whatever the dust, sand and other impurities on the surface of metal, at that time oxygen concentration will be observed into different manner. Hence, some part of that metal will be made as anode and remaining part is made as an cathode. At that time, what happened? Resulting to these phenomena, we observe pits. We observe pit to this metal, and that I am going to represent in this way. In simple case, this is nothing but this one is cavity. We observe cavity in case of that metal, and this observed by due to the presence of dust, sand and other impurities on the surface of that metal. Due to this presence, we observe different oxygen concentration on the surface of that metals, and when such a kind of phenomena will be observed, at that time what happened? We observe the cavity of a cavity on that metal, and this cavity made as an anode, while the remaining part is made as an cathode, and the rate of this corrosion will be increasing more and more due to this cavity. This is nothing but this is cavity, and due to this cavity, the rate of pitting corrosion will be increases more and more. Now this is about the pitting corrosion. Now the second important type is nothing but water-like corrosion. Second important type of corrosion is nothing but water-like corrosion. This is the second important type of corrosion. This corrosion we are again understand by using a simple diagram. This is nothing but we are going to consider one tank, and by using this diagram we understand the concept of water line corrosion. This is an tank. Inside this tank there will be some part that I am going to represent at first. This and all these parts will be present in the solid part. All these parts will be present in solid form, so that just here I am going to represent one reaction Fe get Fe2 plus 1 electrons, and here metal get corroded, and here less oxygenated part, while this side more oxygenated part. This is all about the diagram of water line corrosion. This is nothing but this is one of the tank. Suppose that this one is a steel tank, and in this tank, we observe this steel tank contain water. Now, whatever the part of this steel tank present inside the water, means that in case of water line, suppose that the water line will be observed on this area or this area. Whatever the part of more oxygenated, means in this part we observe more oxygen and therefore we observe more corrosion. Portion of metal surface is under water and remaining portion is above the water. Means that in case of water corrosion, we are going to just consider steel tank. Inside that steel tank, water, some part of that metal will become in contact with water, while the remaining part as it is. The metal which is present above the water, which is comes in contact with oxygen, and whatever the part present in water, this is come in less contact with water. The less oxygenated part get corroded, means whatever the part of oxygen metal is come in less oxygenated contact, it get corroded, while the more oxygenated part remain as it is, while the more oxygenated part remain as it is. This is all about the water line corrosion. Now, the third type is nothing but crevice corrosion or gap corrosion, but these two are the very important types to understand these crevice corrosion. And this type of crevice corrosion we are going to observe on the different basis. We are going to understand some concept of the crevice corrosion. So let's see important points of crevice corrosion. It is observed or occurs when the gap is formed in between two metals. Means that the crevice corrosion is also called as gap corrosion. This will be observed only when the gap is formed between two different metals. At that time, what happened? It is start that when the different air concentration or oxygen concentration will be observed. The concentration of oxygen is higher outside the gap, while the concentration of oxygen is lower inside the gap. Therefore, some part is corroded, while some part of that metal will be less corroded. This corrosion will be minimized by means of what? Eliminating crevices by continuous welding. Means whatever the cavity or whatever the gap we observe in between the two metal parts, these will be welded by using welding process. Second minimize condition is use solid or non-absorbent gasket, for example Teflon, and third one is use of alloys for resistance crevice corrosion. So these are the different types of methods for the minimization of crevice corrosion or gap corrosion. So that the concentration, cell corrosion and their types, this is a very small concept and easy concept. By this lecture we are completed this small concept. I hope you all very well understand. Thank you very much.